Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Haunted Gaming. This time we take a look at a creepypasta called The Phantom Game, about a certain PlayStation 2 game, so sit back, relax, and enjoy The Phantom Game. My name is Midori, and if you're reading this, I hope you have found this before it's too late. I don't live the life of an ordinary girl. Odd things happen to me. This is one anomaly that is still out there, still happening, and that's why I'm warning you about this. I just hope that someone else isn't dragged into this like I was. Or like how my friend Mai was. The game looks harmless, like most do. It looks like any old Half-Life game for PlayStation 2, but it's much more. At the beginning of a new game, a VGUI will display. It's a sub-menu. The amount of options in the sub-menu depends on your living relatives, friends, and siblings. If you don't want to choose one of those names, you can choose your own. But you're going to regret it. Why, you may ask? Whatever name you chose is what all the NPCs refer to you. To which is just some harmless feature, but here's the catch. Whoever you choose on that menu will feel the pain of the in-game player. The only one thing that's out of place is that you aren't Gordon Freeman, but you are whoever, you've chosen on that sub-menu. Other than the person you play as feeling the same pain as the PCE, player-controlled entity, and the NPCs not referring to you as they should. The game is just a regular copy of Half-Life. Oddly enough, you can't browse the game files, either they aren't there or something is preventing users from searching through them. The game appears without a warning and disappears when you're done playing. Whatever you do, destroy it. Smash the disc, scratch it to where it's unplayable, soak it in bleach, I don't care, it doesn't matter how, just make sure that it is gone. How I know all this is because I have played the game before. I didn't have my name chosen neither, did I have the slightest idea of what was going on before the situation had heated up, almost literally. It was a brisk, overcast Sunday in March. I was in the front yard. I was looking for four-leaf clovers, when a spot of orange, reflected off of my silvery, faded blonde hair and caught my attention. It was a soft yet vivid, luminescent color. I was drawn to it like a moth to light. That's where I picked up the game, and after taking it inside, I was going to look for the owner. His keeping would be not a good idea, considering I don't officially own the game. Before I could do so, Mai, Yuka, and Yuna rapidly entered my home. I remembered that we were doing our usual Sunday morning gaming when we were going to play Polybius, or at least, the alleged remake. "And we have arrived," Mai exclaimed with excitement. "Mai, be careful with that door. There's only one at the entrance," I scolded. "Oh, come on, Midori, it's not like I broke the door down," Mai countered. "Midori, do you have the ramen emulator ready?" Yuka asked with a bit of fear. "Hold all my calls and pause for a second. Is that a copy of Half-Life?" Mai had asked. "Yeah, but let's just forget about that. Besides, we already have plans," I said. They all agreed, and we went to my room, again, as we usually do almost every Sunday. I was starting up my computer when Mai asked where my PlayStation 2 was. It broke, and I had to get rid of it," I bluffed. "Ha!" Yuna explained. "Found it." She pulled up my old PS2 unit. "Damn it!" She dug it out, I whispered to myself in defeat. I tried to get leave to get rid of the game, but Yuka has a certain way of getting into your mind. Her psychic force focus ability, as I've named it, works almost all the time. Yuka mounted my computer chair, Yuna was seated on my bed, and Mai sat beside me in front of the television. The game had worked. I felt a flood of nostalgia once I saw the vintage Valve logo. Seeing the familiar low-poly models and low-resolution graphics just made me more happy. I forgot the fact that this may have been someone else's game. So I started the game on hard mode. Before the usual start of the game, a small sub-menu had appeared. I scanned the options, decided to choose Mai. Once I saw the option, there was a small mocking giggle that came from Yuka and Yuna, but it didn't matter to me. The game was normal for the most part. The only thing that I found blatantly out of place was that it was never referred to as Freeman or Gordon. "Sorry, Mai, but I have explicit orders not to let you through without your hazard suit on," is what the guard at the first door said. "Mai, who would have thought you'd still be alive?" is what the scientists would tell me when they spotted me after the incident started. I knew it wasn't a glitch because the vocalizations were flawless, but they didn't, pronounce her name like me or Mai or Mai. They pronounced it Mai. This is a little fucking creepy. But I just shook it off because it wasn't really anything bad, to be honest. I was just whizzing through the game, killed all the zombies I found, every Vortigaunt I saw, and all barnacles without taking any damage. I then came to the meat locker area. I was toying with the meat, just smashing it with a crowbar until it broke into bouncy gibs, splattering the old blood sprites on the ground. After I broke all the meat and we all stopped laughing at the fact that the meat used human gibs, I continued on. I encountered a bull squid in the next room. I switched to the shotgun to kill it. I was able to shoot it, but before I could press R2 to fire the bull squid, it had spat on me. The blobs of acid from the spit had hit the screen. Mai falls over. Her hands were encasing her face as she screamed in agony. "Mai, what's wrong?" I asked. "My face is melting," she yells from under her hands. And after Mai stopped moving, I removed her hands from her face. It was okay. She wasn't burned or wounded. She was fine. I was worried. I was going to stop playing, but again, Yuka did it again. I was compelled to play it. This still continued for a long time, and Mai felt a different pain for each different way I took damage. I'd get shot with the hornet gun in the stomach. Mai felt a stabbing pain in her stomach. I'd take fall damage. Mai felt as if her legs were fracturing. Over and over again, Yuka kept me there. As far as I know, you can't resist against doing what Yuka tells you. Once she does her trick without a, high emotional state, Yuka kept making me play. It was almost as if she didn't care about Mai's pain. The thing that tore me away from Yuka's psychic grasp, really, was when I made it to the Gargantua boss fight. I dreaded it. Then, the Garg lit me on fire. Mai fell to the ground, screaming in agony and rolling around. "Why'd you stop playing, Midori?" Yuka asked, hypnotically. "Why didn't you just continue?" Yuka was trying to get me to continue, but knowing how much pain Mai would go through, with about 3 hours of gameplay left, I was able to resist. I felt like, a worm-like tapping of Yuka's disturbingly animate fingers on my shoulders. She usually does this to finalize her order. I immediately turned around, smacked Yuka's hands away, and clenched her shoulders tightly. "What is with you? Can't you see the suffering that Mai's going through?" I snapped straight at Yuka. She just teared up at Yuna, rushed over to comfort her. I knelt beside Mai, and she'd stopped moving. Her breathing was reduced to short spasms of her lungs. She let out a rapid gasp, which would expel violently from her mouth, tossing her short, midnight black hair. Her eyes were tightly shut, mouth gaping open as she just rested there on her stomach, exhausted from the pain. Then my cousin Psycho violently burst in, nearly destroying the door. "What was all the screaming about?" Psycho persistently asked. I told Psycho my whole understanding of what the game was doing, what was happening, what caused Mai to scream, and even how this whole predicament started. Psycho decided to see for herself what was going on. Mai was resting on my bed while the rest of us tried to restrain Psycho from nearing the PlayStation 2. She got past us eventually and started the game. We were all too tired to even think of preventing her from playing. Psycho selected the name Mai just like I did. She was doing fine until she got the first jumping puzzle. Psycho missed one of the hanging containers and fell to her death. Mai woke up from her recovery nap and began to scream again. She grasped her legs, crying, screaming. Mai kept yelling that her legs were shattered when we asked what was wrong. She would be hard to help calm down, considering the fact that just touching her legs made the pain hugely greater. I couldn't stand seeing Mai like this. The other kept trying to help her by trying to calm her down, to just rest her legs. They even put ice on them. But I had an almost perfect understanding of why Mai was feeling this horrid pain at this point. It was something with the game, and I knew the only way I could help her. I had to shut off the PS2, eject the disc, and I felt a sense of relief as I heard Mai's crying and screaming die down, reducing to less and less until she had stopped. I decided to look through the game's files, sliding the disc into my computer and ready to just see what was causing my closest friends so much suffering. To my shocking surprise, the directory was barren. Not a folder, file, or even image was on the disc. I was disappointed that I couldn't find out what, caused her all the suffering. I threw it into the trash bin, waiting for Thursday, when the damn thing will be removed. I checked back on Wednesday night to make sure that the bin was still upright. I spotted a raccoon digging through it. It spotted me, knocked over the bin, and ran off with the game in its jaw. I'm glad the thing has gone out of my life and out of my friend's life. I just hope nobody else finds it and suffers the way Mai did. I later sought out answers to what had happened. I later found that there were over, 51 other accounts of this happening, each disappearing just like how it did last time, with an odd-looking raccoon digging around and running off with the case in its maw. This frightened me, and that's why I'm posting this here, as a warning to all who may find this. Just get rid of that disc. The story is definitely quite something, not exactly amazing, and one of the things that got to me was mentioning that psychic power. Come on. And there's some of the overt descriptions in the story. But then again, I'm not judging it on that, but on the game itself, and as a concept, it was kind of new with the game actually locating your close relatives and selecting one and causing actual pain from the game. Sort of an updated version of that Neo controller that stabs you, don't it? But then again, this concept is nicely handed, and it is pretty eerie to think about it. Even though it is not as realistic, it's still somewhat weird to think about. The obtaining of the game was well done to me. No weird clerks or stores, or crazy rituals, but rather just finding the game on the field, which has happened to me too in real life before, and coming home to see that, it has some far-reaching effects. But it's so rare, too, that you can't you can let it slide when you see the phenomenon. I mean, it's like a nice occurrence in a horror movie. Obviously, it's not real, but your brain lets it slide because of the rarity of the situation. And even though, as a whole, I prefer something, similar to Ben or Funny Mouth, where it really could have, been an occurrence in reality, this is sort of polarizing to me, though. If those personal happenings were done a little less, overtly and felt more normal and the flow was more smoother, this could be very good, but it just has this crazy real world melding with the concept that I, really like. I mean, I don't like the real world stuff with all the crazy personal relationships. Those have to be toned down, but the concept I do like, games causing pain. Shit, that is creepy to think about when you could be playing any first person shooter or any game in general where pain is a factor. I mean, say you're playing a game like Uncharted, it might even change the way you play that if our legs could actually get shattered. But in the end, this is a creepypasta that polarized me. In the end, what would you rate it, and what would you change to make it better? This has been another episode of Haunted Gaming. If you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. This is me, Mudaharan. I am out.